G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the Asshole, where in our first story today, OP's nephew gets kicked out of their home for coming out of the closet. OP's nephew then wants to live with OP. The problem is, OP's nephew is a huge bully towards OP's child. Bit of a moral dilemma, that one. Hope you enjoy it. Let's just get on with the episode. Am I the asshole for not letting my nephew, who recently came out, live with us after getting kicked out? My nephew Tyler is 18. He came out this week, and his dad didn't take it well. My sister asked if I would let him stay with me until her husband calmed down and let him move back in. I'm not close with my nephew due to past behavior and the fact that he's been a bully to my son, 15 male, since they were kids. That was something we tried working out, but Tyler never seemed to learn. Since my sister didn't do much because of her boys will be boys mentality, I limited interaction with them. Then last year, Tyler antagonized my son on social media. Before that happened, my son went through something traumatic, and I won't get into details here, but it left him with a lot of anxiety about going out. He made a celebratory post about going to the grocery store for the first time in months by himself without getting a panic attack. Tyler decided to call him a softie, asked why is he getting excited about something so stupid and not even a big deal. I confronted Tyler directly because he knew what my son had experienced. He wasn't apologetic because, according to him, he was just jokingly giving him a hard time and didn't mean it in a bad way. This time I told my sister Tyler is to stay away from my son completely. This new situation doesn't change the fact that I don't want Tyler near him. Even with the promises that he won't do anything, I can't trust him. He has done it before when I'm not around until it pushes my son to finally tell me. That is why I'm apparently being an asshole to him, given the difficult and emotional moment he is going through. My wife and I said that we could pitch in for him to stay somewhere. Our other family lives far, and he is still in school, but not in our house. The reason she refuses this is because Tyler needs to be with family at the moment, and things are complicated at her place right now. She's trying to calm things down, but says that it could be a long while since her husband doesn't want him back at all. If things had been different, I'd accept him into our home in a heartbeat, but not if it means putting my son in a position to be bullied. My mom understands how awful Tyler has been to my son, the way he's tormented him, and that we've tried to make things work, and in this situation, she does think that I'm not being a good uncle and an asshole because of what Tyler is currently going through, that it's more serious. They are both on us about this, but we have had to say no. Are we being the assholes here? Now in the comments, not the asshole. You are protecting your kid from his bully. Not saying behaviors can't change, but considering your son's mental health at the current time, allowing your nephew to live with him would probably worsen his anxiety, even if your nephew didn't mess with him. OP replies yes, and my fear is that he will, especially with everything going on at home. Over the years, I had noticed he'd become especially vicious whenever there was a personal problem with him. He says he'll behave staying with us. We've heard him say that before. Interesting. A kid who wasn't accepting and kind of something his cousin went through is now being faced with someone who is not kind and accepting of who he is. Karma. Looks interesting, doesn't she? Not the asshole. Any family problems your sister has above, sound of her own making, and just as she wants to shield her son, you need to protect yours. Tyler coming out doesn't change his personality of being an asshole. Also, how about kicking out the bigoted husband instead, and she and Tyler stay in the house? I wouldn't let the kid move in either in this situation. Perhaps your sister should move her husband out of the house before he calms down. I empathize with the gay nephew, however, he uses the bullying to make him feel better about his situation, and you have to prioritize your son. Your sister won't understand this, as her priority is her son and his well-being rather than the issue that it'll cause your immediate family members. You are not the asshole. Her priority is barely her son's if she's valuing her bigoted husband's comfort over her son's comfort and safety. She enabled her son's bullying, and she is accommodating her husband's homophobia. She has helped create this mess. Not the asshole. You are not taking him in because he came out, but because he has been bullying your son. Your son always goes before your nephew. Having Tyler over at your house would increase the anxiety level of your son. Tyler should have thought about his actions before and what consequences they might have. Hopefully your wife can realize that for the sake of your son. I wish you the best of luck." And OP replies, "My wife is on my side completely. She doesn't want Tyler around either. It's my sister and my mom." And now on to the update. Well, it appears I have been bamboozled, or almost at least, by my sister and Tyler. My mum claims she had no idea, and now she's angry at them too. Had some time this weekend to have a chat with my brother-in-law, Tyler's dad, because honestly, despite Tyler's awful behavior, I was disgusted at any parent disowning their child over their sexuality. I called him to talk, not only to give him a piece of my mind, but also understand why he's even being like this. Like I said in a previous comment, his late brother was gay, and he never had a problem with that. It was just a shock to see him have such a strong negative reaction. Or maybe he had always been secretly against it, or now it's different because it's his own son. I don't know. That is why I called. He had no idea what I was talking about, so there really was more to the story than my sister was leading on. Tyler came out to them months ago, and him getting kicked out wasn't the reason at all. I'm super skeptical about this because to me, it seemed like maybe he was trying to play innocent and avoid getting crapped on, until he went and got my sister to tell him exactly what she told me. They got into a fight, and then my sister finally told me, no, her husband didn't kick Tyler out of the house for being gay, since they were aware of it for months. He got into some trouble at school that he'd lied about, and while he was grounded for that, Tyler had taken his dad's car without permission and messed it up. He said it just seemed like one thing after another, especially the way he was acting with their kids, which was the straw that broke the camel's back for him, and told Tyler to get out. After the whole thing, I was furious with my sister. She apologized a million times. Her only excuse was she was desperate for Tyler having a place to stay, and hoped the whole gay thing would make me reconsider until her husband cooled down and let Tyler come back. I have had a day to calm down, I told my mum how my sister lied, and now at least we are more secure in our decision and don't feel like assholes at all for not letting him come with us. Tyler is at a friend's house now. Doesn't know if his dad plans to let him move back in, but one thing is certain, he's not staying here with us at all. Not for what he's done to my son, and especially not after knowing all the reasons why he's not at his parents anymore. That is their mess to deal with now. Thanks for the judgment and thoughts, Reddit. I just wanted to leave this new bit of info on here. And now in the comments, wow, I just read your original post and now this. Your sister is a nut. You made the right call. I'm happy you took your son's well-being over the typical family card played by abusers. You are a good dad. OP says, I'm glad too. He's been put through more than enough, and the last thing I want is for him to deal with his cousin on top of everything else. Agreed. My brother-in-law just turned 18, and last year he tried to commit suicide. We found out that he was being bullied by a group of boys at school led by his cousin. That, coupled with other stuff, led to him trying to do that. It was brutal on my wife, to say the least. My in-laws had known the cousin was mean, but not to this extent, and they always ignored it considering that he was family. Just goes to show you can never really know how someone is being affected. And OP replies, something similar, though not to that extent, was going on at Tyler's school, which was why he had gotten in trouble, along with some other things. I really hope your brother-in-law is doing better, or just getting the help that he needs. It's the most painful thing in the world watching someone you love suffer like that. You feel so helpless. I hope you are all getting through this. And they reply to that, thank you. Thankfully, he got the help he needs and is about to start college, pursuing biology for medical school. We are so happy. Thanks for the update. And I'm glad that letting him stay is no longer even a remote possibility, given what you said about him in the original post, and the behavior and out lies that you have described above. I thought your attitude in the original post was that of how any good parent should view such a situation, despite the many people who, for reasons I frankly don't understand, disagreed so vehemently. Anyway, all sounds good and I hope your son is doing okay. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for not sharing the income from a board game that I created, even though he had a huge part in its development because he demanded payment up front? So I love board games, and a hobby of mine is to create my own games. I play my games with family and friends. I'm very creative in terms of inventing games, but I'm not visually creative. I can't draw, paint, etc. My brother, on the other hand, is an amazing visual artist, both drawing by hand and digitally. When I first started making games, I had this fantasy that I was going to get rich. My brother was on board and did all the visual art. The assumption was split any earnings 50-50. We had some fun, but at the end of the day, all of our games failed to find a publisher or sell. My brother got sick of all the work with no reward and stopped wanting to work on the games. I respected that, but I really thought one day I could make a successful game. I tried hiring a graphic designer for $60 an hour, but I just didn't have the same connection and we didn't get along. So I asked my brother if he would work with me if I paid him $60 per hour. He agreed. We made several more games together, and he was totally disinterested in the sales aspect. From my point of view, I was hiring him to make my games. Anyway, I can't believe I'm typing this sentence, but my absolute favorite publisher agreed to publish my game. I invented the game and its rules, but my brother was integral to working out details, sharing his ideas, and creating an eye-catching design to get this published. I could not have done this without him. The thing is that all of his contributions were paid for by me at the rate of $60 per hour. So now we come to the obvious conflict. My brother wants a co-creator credit and half the money. We never discussed terms, but when we were working together without pay, we agreed everything was 50-50. But in my opinion, when he started requiring payment, he was my employee, and anything he did during that time was my property. The reason why I don't think it's fair to have to share with him is that I paid him literally thousands of dollars on projects that didn't yield money for me. So before he started requiring payment, I feel like we were both investing our time and skills, so the benefits were both of ours, although nothing ever sold. For him to start requiring money, for me that seems like he didn't believe in me, and now that I sold the game, he wants back in. I absolutely admit that this game wouldn't exist without my brother's work and talent, but he got his compensation, and I don't plan on sharing ownership of the game with him. As you may expect, my brother complained to parents, grandparents, and aunts and uncles, and without exception, they all think I should share with my brother. That really made me second-guess myself, since literally 100% of my family thinks I should share with my brother. Am I the asshole? There's something about the whole thing that makes me upset, like my brother stopped believing in me. Am I selfish or should I be able to keep all the money? Now in the comments, not the asshole. You had the risk of sinking even more money into games which weren't successful. Your brother didn't want to sink that and took an hourly pay. He got his reimbursement for his work. OP, your entire family is agreeing with your brother because he is the one who complains to them, so he got to put his spin on it. I'm always telling people this, but fight back. Don't let someone else set the terms of the narrative. Tell them your side. Write it out and include receipts, and then send an email to your entire family with the subject heading, My Side of the Story. Do it, OP, not the asshole. Be careful with your wording though, in case he tries to take you to court. OP really needs to be discussing the situation with a lawyer who specializes in this sort of thing. Not the asshole, but how far do you really want to push this, as it's likely to cause a family rift? Maybe have a chat with him and say that although you appreciate that you couldn't have done it without him, you took the financial risk and paid him for his work at the time, but would have cut him in at 20/80 or 30/70 instead of 50/50, as you want to enjoy this exciting experience with him, or you would be well within your rights to stand your ground and keep the money yourself, but you need to decide if you are prepared to have a family rift as a result. Not the asshole. Would you have split the money with the graphic designer that you were paying? No. Your brother was already paid. And back up to the post, edit, thank you for all the responses. I posted this last thing before going to bed at night, and I am still taking in a lot of what you said. One thing I do want to mention is that the publisher has designers who are redoing all of the artwork to be more in line with their branding and style. Also, his artwork was not meant to be fully finished for release. Even though his work was necessary to catch the publisher's attention and sell the game, none of it will be in the final product. And now on to the update. Thanks to everyone for your opinions and advice. After reading them, I felt convinced that I'm mostly in the right. However, it would probably be worth it to come to some kind of an agreement. We agreed that my brother could keep the money that I already paid him, and I would give him 25% of what I earn on the game for the first 12 months. In exchange, he's going to sign an agreement to give up all rights to any previous game that we created, including the ones that we made before I started paying him. Also, he's not going to take hourly payment going forward, and we will split any other games 50-50. I still think I would have been justified to not pay him. It is worth it to just avoid conflicts and preserve the partnership for future games. And if I decide to work with other partners in the future, I will be able to do that without any worries about any claims that he might have. So all in all, I am satisfied with the outcome. Thanks again. And edit, thanks for all the good vibes, people. I will definitely make a post when the game is on the shelves. Oh, and to answer your question, yes, this agreement was written up by a lawyer and signed by both parties. I'm not making that mistake again. Now in the comments, glad you were satisfied with the outcome. It's a shame you ended up giving him 25% for the first 12 months, as you're right. You paid him hourly, he was an employee that didn't share the risks that you did and isn't entitled to a share. But he is your brother, and there are things more important in life than money. It seems like you two were set up to continue working together on good terms, and that's awesome. And if you work with others in the future, you will have learned a lesson about putting it all in writing up front. Good luck with your next hit game. Smiley face. It's just sad that the arseholes always profit off this whole, there's sometimes some more important things in life than X. But I hope OP learns from this experience that if the brother tries to put his claws in OP in the future again, or better yet, the brother learns to not be greedy like this. Yeah, as a very principled person, that kind of stuff really bothers me. In the end, being a relentless jerk pays off a lot more than I would like it to. Family is more important than a car, but that didn't keep me from being upset when I was cheated out of my inheritance, which was a classic car. Even when we don't want to be upset about it, it can be hard to let go. I read your last post, and I think this is the best solution to it. A lot of the advice in such forums is generally to fight back and hold one's ground. Not many point towards amicably settling differences. Being able to compromise is something big, but often ignored. I'm glad that you and your brother finally reached a settlement, and hopefully will collaborate on future projects. Anyway guys, that is the conclusion to today's episode. Hello there guys, it is Outro Markee and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. In today's outro you can enjoy a fine selection of goodbye pudding, sayonara sriracha sauce, and bye bye blueberry pie. Hope you guys have a bloody good day, night, sleep, or whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.